Malik, a 35-year-old engineer from Anambra State, had carved a comfortable life for himself in Port Harcourt. Working with one of Nigeria's leading oil companies, he had everything a man could want, except love. That changed the day he met Charity, a beautiful, soft-spoken 28-year-old woman who said she hailed from Caba in Kogi State. She was warm, graceful, and everything Malik had ever hoped for in a partner. They met at a church program one rainy Sunday evening. Malik had been invited by a friend and wasn't expecting anything extraordinary until Charity walked in, her white blouse damp from the drizzle and her smile illuminating the room. She had an air of quiet confidence that immediately intrigued him. After the service, Malik found himself drawn to her. "You look like someone who could lift a man's spirit just by being around," he said with a nervous chuckle. Charity laughed softly. "That's a heavy compliment, sir. I hope I don't let you down." One conversation led to another. They discovered a shared love for gospel music, spicy food, and long walks. They exchanged numbers and began meeting regularly. Charity was intelligent and witty, but there was a certain quiet sadness in her eyes that Malik noticed sometimes when she thought he wasn't looking. Malik fell fast and deep. Within 6 months, Malik proposed. Charity accepted with a glowing smile. However, she insisted that only Malik's family attend the court wedding in Port Harcourt. She claimed her mother was old and sickly and couldn't endure the stress of travel. Malik, although surprised, understood and respected her wishes. They got married quietly at the Port Harcourt marriage registry. Malik's parents and a few cousins were present. Charity looked stunning in her simple cream-coloured gown, and Malik could barely believe his luck. He whispered as they posed for photos, "You're too perfect, Charity. What did I do to deserve you?" His family welcomed Charity warmly. She blended in seamlessly and was adored for her humility and respectfulness. She cooked delicious meals, prayed with Malik's mother, and even learned a few words in Igbo to please her in-laws. Charity promised Malik they would visit her people after the wedding. But weeks turned into months, and months into years. She always had an excuse. Sometimes she'd cry in the middle of the night, waking up from nightmares. When Malik tried to comfort her, she'd just say she was missing her family and change the topic. 5 years flew by. Malik and Charity were blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, Zara and Mimi. Charity was an excellent mother, loving, attentive, and deeply spiritual. She taught the girls songs in Yoruba and often told them stories about a grandmother they'd never met. Yet Malik's unease grew. He kept asking about visiting her family, wanting the girls to know their maternal roots. Charity would sigh and promise, "Soon, my love. Very soon." Malik tried to push away the discomfort, but it lingered. Occasionally, he'd wake up in the night and find her staring at the wall, lost in thought. When he asked what was wrong, she'd smile and whisper, "Just praying for tomorrow." Eventually, Malik became insistent. His daughters were growing, and he felt it was unfair that they didn't know their maternal grandparents. Charity, although hesitant, finally agreed. They packed for the trip and set off on a bright morning. Charity guided Malik through the unfamiliar roads with precise directions. She seemed nervous, often glancing out the window in silence. After about 5 hours of driving, they reached a dusty junction with a roadside market. Charity turned to Malik. "Honey, I need to get some things for Mama and my sister. It's been years. Please drive ahead with the girls. Follow the small path beside the mango tree. You'll find a compound with a red gate and flower pots. That's my family home." Malik frowned slightly. "Are you sure you don't want us to wait?" Charity smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'll be quick. Go ahead. Tell Mama that her daughter is finally home." She kissed the children and watched as the car disappeared down the dusty path. As Malik looked back in the rearview mirror, she waved, one last time. Malik arrived at the described compound and found a middle-aged woman and a teenage girl picking beans. He parked, got down with the children, and approached them. "Good afternoon, Ma. I'm Malik, Charity's husband. These are our daughters, Zara and Mimi. Charity said this is her home. She'll join us soon." The woman froze. Her hands trembled as she dropped the bowl of beans. The girl beside her looked equally shocked. "Charity?" the woman whispered. "You said you're her husband?" "Yes, Ma. We've been married 5 years." Malik pulled out his phone and showed them pictures. Charity holding the girls, cooking, laughing. The woman gasped and burst into tears. "That's my daughter. But she died 7 years ago." Malik thought it was a cruel prank. "No, that can't be. I was with her this morning. We travelled together." The woman looked him in the eyes. "Charity died in a car accident on her way back from Lagos. We buried her right here in this compound." Malik refused to believe it. He tried calling Charity again, but the line was off. He drove back to the junction. She was nowhere in sight. He searched the market, asked vendors. No one had seen her. That night, Malik lay wide awake. His daughters slept beside him. Charity's mother and sister kept watch. They all waited, hoping she would walk in. But she never did. The next morning, as the cock crowed and the sun rose behind the trees, Charity's mother told Malik everything. She was full of dreams, got an interview in Lagos. We prayed together before she left. The bus crashed on the way back. Her ID was on her. We identified the body. We buried her with our hands. She pointed to the far corner of the compound. That's her grave. Malik walked there slowly. A small concrete slab bore her name. Charity Omolara Ajayi, born 1991, died 2018. He collapsed to his knees. He remembered the laughter, the shared meals, her touch, her scent, all of it. A haunting lie, or a miracle. Malik stayed in Caba for days. He couldn't eat. He barely spoke. The girls played with their grandmother and aunt, unaware of the storm. He remembered waking up to her soft voice reciting psalms. He remembered how she would light candles when there was no power, whispering prayers while cooking. Charity's sister showed him a journal Charity kept before her death. In it were prayers for a man who would love her truly. She wrote, "May I find a man whose heart beats for me, even if the world forgets mine ever existed." Tears fell from Malik's eyes as he read. He spent one of the nights staring at the grave, whispering, "Why me? Why you? Why this way?" Then he remembered their wedding night, her whispered thanks for giving her a second chance at happiness. Maybe it was all real, just not of this world. Back in Port Harcourt, Malik was a changed man. His family was shaken, but supportive. He sold the house he had shared with Charity and moved to a new one with the girls. The old house felt haunted, not by ghosts, but by too many memories. He enrolled in therapy. At night, he journaled. He prayed harder than ever before. He visited orphanages with the girls, finding healing in giving back. Every year, on the anniversary of their journey to Caba, Malik and the girls visited Charity's grave. They laid flowers, sang her favourite hymns, and shared stories. Years passed. Zara and Mimi grew into strong, intelligent young ladies. Malik raised them with love, patience, and the values Charity had instilled. They excelled in school and shared their mother's love for singing and storytelling. One day, Mimi asked, "Daddy, will we ever see Mummy again?" Malik paused, then smiled softly. "In every good thing you do, every kind word you say, she lives through you. And maybe, just maybe, she watches over us." The girls smiled, and somehow in that moment, Malik felt Charity's presence again, a soft breeze, a whispered blessing. After that visit to Caba, Charity began to appear in Malik's dreams. In the quiet of the night, she would come to him, not as a ghost to haunt, but as a guide to comfort. She always wore white, her face serene and full of love. She would sit beside him, her voice like a whisper in the wind. "Take care of Mama," she would say. "She's old now. Be the son she never had." Sometimes she would show him visions of her mother sitting alone, her eyes tired but hopeful. Other times, she'd remind him of the stories she used to tell the girls, or hum lullabies that only he remembered. Malik took her words to heart. He made sure Charity's mother never lacked anything. He built a small bungalow for her in the village, sent her a monthly allowance, and made sure she had access to good healthcare. Every school holiday, he took the girls to visit her, and they would sit at her feet as she told them tales of their mother's childhood. He opened a foundation in her name, the Omolara Foundation for Women and Children, to support widows and children from underprivileged homes. The organization offered scholarships, business grants for single mothers, and mental health support. It quickly grew into a beacon of hope in the community. Charity's story inspired many. Malik was often invited to speak about his experience and the power of love that transcended life and death. People would weep, not out of fear, but because they saw in Charity's story a reminder that love is eternal. Every time Malik stood before a crowd and spoke about Charity, he didn't feel sorrow anymore. He felt gratitude. She came to him, loved him, bore his children, and then returned to where she belonged. And through it all, she made him a better man. In quiet moments, he still spoke to her. On the girls' birthdays, on their first day of school, when they made him laugh, when he missed her deeply. He would close his eyes and say, "Thank you for loving me. I'll keep telling your story." And in the gentle wind that rustled the curtains, the sparkle in his daughter's eyes, and the dreams that brought her voice back to him, Malik always found his answer. Love never dies. It just changes form and lives on forever.